Alright, hello fun and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spot Night series, where today we are having a look at the AMP10K 10mm SMG mod, which is being made by user Aerobot96. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is a fun new submachine gun that's based off of the Fallout 3 10mm SMG, but with a bit of a real-world MP5K flair to it, and I very much do like it. It's an enjoyable new SMG being added into the game that certainly does look the part for the Fallout universe, and all in all is just an enjoyable weapon. So let's jump on over here and have a look at what exactly we are getting with the AMP10K, which in its most standard form will do 32 damage with a 10mm round with a firing rate of 72, range of 131, accuracy of 58, and a weight of 12.1. Not too shabby there. And as you can see, this is a pretty good looking weapon. Certainly does look the part of the Fallout 3 SMG, though with a few bits and bobs that are different. One thing especially is it's a much thinner gun than I was anticipating, which occasionally looks a bit awkward, at least in its pistol stage. Once you get a good stock on here, it's not so strange, at least in my opinion. But still, it is kind of one bit of the gun that's kind of an oddity to me personally. Probably won't bother most people, but you know. At least on the plus side, at least it's not as chonky as most guns that we have in this game are. But yes, overall, a good looking weapon that certainly does have that 10mm SMG flair, but with a few little bits and bobs here and there that are different. Now, as for the damage that I mentioned on the standard for this gun, I did say 32, and that's because I went with the standard magazine here, which, for some reason, even though it's standard, requires gun nut 3 to actually make. The actual magazine that requires 0 gun nut is actually a 38 caliber magazine, which would actually lower the damage down to 26. But considering this is the one that's named standard, I decided to go with that for our stats breakdown there. But yes, it is kind of an oddity with this gun. The things that are standard for a 10mm are actually the higher tier of gun nut requirements to build. Strange, but okay. Now, as for how you get your hands on one of these lovely things, well, it's pretty simple. There's a few ways. The first is that it will start to spawn in the world at level 21 on a variety of enemies, and can also be bought at that stage in most merchants. And besides that, you can also go to any chemistry station in the world, down to the utility category, and make yourself an AMP10K for absolutely 0 requirements. That's another thing with this. You guys know me, when there's 0 requirements for something, it makes me feel a bit cheaty, so I wish there was something here. But, oh well, if you're just making a gun for yourself, why not? Or just, you know, wait until you get it off of an enemy at level 21. But all in all, not too hard to get your hands on this thing. And so let's check out the modifications that you can then make once you do have it. And the first is the receiver category, which is much different than our usual receiver categories in that it's a fire rate sort of selector. We've got the low fire rate as the standard, and we can go to a medium fire rate or a high fire rate for this thing, which of course is going to require a lot of commando over there, which will bring up your base stats for the gun as well. Now then we have the barrel category, where we've got a standard with a flashlight, a barrel with a foregrip that kind of gives this thing a UMP look to it, which I kind of like. I've always enjoyed the UMP, and yeah, I like it. And we also have that one with another flashlight on there. Very nice. Now in the stock category, we've got the standard short, a folding stock, and a long stock. Both are pretty good, and you guys know me, I always love any weapon mod that adds in wood to the design, because yay, metal and wood are my favorite kind of guns. And so yeah, nice to have that chunky bit of wood back there. Now then, in the magazine category, we've got the 38 magazine, the quad stack magazine, the small magazine, the small 38 magazine, which, as I said, is the one that requires no gun nut for reasons, and then the standard magazine requiring 3, which is real weird. Why is that one called standard? I don't know. But next in the sights category, we've got the standard iron sights, a red dot, and a red dot sight with a 3x magnifier. Now, this is one category I really wish we had a lot more options in. You guys know me, I do enjoy lots of different sight options, but honestly, the ones we have here aren't too shabby. They'll cover most usage, if you're wanting to go a bit longer range, or just, a good red dot there. We then have the muzzle category with the typical things of nothing, a compensator, muzzle brake, or suppressor. Really do love the look of that suppressor on this one. And then finally, we've got the paint category, where we've got the base paint here, a dual tone, which is really cool looking, a slight wear paint, and finally the sparkle paint, which is if you're feeling real gaudy. But, yeah, the dual tone's my favorite. It's very nice looking. I really, really do enjoy the look of that gun. Very cool. And that is it for the various modifications. Let's go take a look at how these things work, and let me grab my 2 modified versions over here, where we've got the beautiful dual tone one here with the UMP foregrip look to it. Love it, love it. And then we've got a Recon automatic AMP10K with the longer range red dot. Good times. Well, let's start, of course, in its pistol form, and fire. And there we go. For the slow fire rate that it does have, it actually does have a surprising amount of kick to this thing. Per shot, it's not the worst, but it does really bounce it around quite a bit, which is going to make it a little bit harder to keep on target. But it's not impossible, and so, not too bad there. I do like the moving parts for the reload animation there, especially the cocking bit. Kind of interesting, and I do like that it's on both sides, so this could be, if it was in the real world, an ambidextrous weapon, which is always, I think, a very interesting and neat little detail. Now let's go to oh boy, which one's which? There we go. There's the one with the longer range and the silencer. So let's grab that one first. Still using the lower fire rate. And yeah, that's what I meant when I was talking earlier about once you get a stock on this thing, it looks... the thinness of the gun doesn't make as much, or well, doesn't bother me as much when we actually have a hand holding the front. When it's in this pistol form, I don't know, the thinness of the gun just kind of feels odd to me. But once you got a hand up front with the stock, that all just kind of goes away and I don't even notice, which I like. Again, like I mentioned before, that's probably something that's only going to bother me and maybe a handful of others, but, just something to keep in mind. And there you go with the red dots. That is one issue with the gun that I do have, is we also do get the iron sights all up in there. It's still perfectly usable, so there's no issue there, but it is taking up a lot of the actual sighting area in the scope. Now, with, of course, a stock and the hand on the foregrip and all, you're much more controllability for this. Still getting a fair amount of kick, but more controllable, certainly. And let's go to our normal red dot sighted one with, of course, the high fire rate. So this one at 218 on there, so it's going to chew through rounds, which is why I also put the quad mag on there with 50 rounds, and fire. Oh yeah, you go through all 50 of those real quick, like super quick. And again, of course, you are getting the oddities of the iron sights on the scope, which is weird. Not a deal breaker for me. Like I said, it is odd, but not a deal breaker, since you still do have a usable area of sighting within the scope. Well, let's take a look at this thing against an enemy, and of course get our usual Deathclaw friend, which, ooh boy. Granted, considering the fire rate on this one, we might melt him pretty good. With a firing rate of 218, with a damage of 57, that's not that bad. Hello, and oh god, yes, we melted him. We didn't even go through a single magazine. Yeah, that fire rate really did a number on him, didn't it? Okay, back up I go. And die, Deathclaw. We actually did go through a full magazine that time because of my just poor aim. But yeah, with that high fire rate, that's yeah, that really did melt through. Let's see what the low fire rate one though. Still on an upgraded one with my recon automatic here. So let's pop in another Deathclaw and silently shoot him. Oh boy, he went over there somehow. Still doing good damage per shot with the 57. So even with the lower fire rate, it's not bad. Certainly doable still. Just takes a little bit longer than melting him with the high fire rate. But we were able to handle him nonetheless. And that is the AMP10K 10mm SMG. It is, I think, a fun addition to the game. It has a few little oddities here and there, like with the iron sight still being visible in our red dot here, which is, has a, you know, a good looking gun. I do enjoy the sort of UMP look to it when you do have, say, the, this particular foregrip on here. It's pretty darn cool. Plus the addition of the flashlight on the side. It's just, I think, a nice, fun little addition to the gun. That's just enjoyable. Plus, you guys know me. I love the wood and metal design of weapons. It's just so gorgeous. But yeah, if you'd like to take a look at this gun for yourself, which I'd certainly recommend you go and do, you can have a look at the link in the description as per usual. But that, my friends, is going to be it for this one today. Hopefully you have enjoyed and you do come back for whatever mod it is that we look at next. But until then, thank you for watching as always. Well, have a good one.